prescriptions.
This is nationwide. This isn't just in Colorado.
A second American journalist is harmed in Ukraine as Russia closes in on the capital city.
We crossed a checkpoint and they start shooting at us. So the driver turned around and they kept shooting.
Colorado lawmakers push to protect elections from the people elected to run them.
I don't think we were thinking about insider threats before May 2nd.
We begin tonight with a worker shortage that is bad for your health. Good evening and thank you for watching. I'm Jessica Porter.
I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us tonight. Our Contact Denver 17 keeps hearing from people desperate to get the medicine they really need, but they're struggling to get basic prescriptions filled. Consumer investigator JACLYN Allen joins us now.
And JACLYN, people are telling you they're stuck waiting in long lines, even for prescriptions that are already delayed.
That's right. Bottom line, Colorado needs more pharmacists and pharmacy techs. And Contact Denver 7 keeps hearing people who need their prescription filled. They're the ones paying the price.
Went to urgent care on Friday.
When Christina Semino could not stop coughing last Friday,
Like an upper respiratory thing going on.
she filled a prescription at her Walgreens in North Glen.
Go to call them to check if my prescription's ready. The pharmacy's closed. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I call again, pharmacy's closed.
Turns out her Walgreens has new hours, closed all weekend long. She says they could not transfer her prescription even to another Walgreens.
They see it in the system, but they can't release it because it's narcotic. It's stuck at this particular location. I spent the whole weekend unpaid, coughing my brains out. And honestly, I just want to breathe. I really just want to breathe.
For months, Contact Denver 7 has been reporting on long lines, delayed prescriptions, and staff shortages at Colorado pharmacies.
Certainly in Colorado, shortage of technicians is a real problem.
Emily Zadvorny is the executive director of the Colorado Pharmacists Society and says between the pandemic, low pay, and difficult working conditions,
We're seeing a higher shortage and a higher percentage of people leaving in our retail chains. And since most people get their prescriptions from a retail chain, they're going to notice that.
in a statement to Contact Denver 7, Walgreens apologized about patient disruptions, saying, "We are currently reviewing policies, procedures, and training with our team members." Big chains are trying to hire more workers and improve conditions. Recently, CVS starting to offer guaranteed lunch breaks for pharmacists and techs, but advocates say the staffing shortage won't be solved overnight.
Because there is such a shortage, is there a risk of mistakes being made?
I think that's the concern we all have. Hiring more people is the solution. Those people aren't just found right now. There's just not the people to hire to do that.
I literally spent my whole weekend on the phone, on again, off again, the whole phone all weekend. I mean, it's so much for resting when you don't feel good.
Eventually, Christina says she had to go back to urgent care to get a different prescription that she filled at a different pharmacy. And she still hasn't heard from Walgreens.
I'm done using this as a pharmacy for sure. I mean, honestly, I'll give CVS across the street my business or somewhere else because I'm not going to put myself in this position again.
All right, we asked pharmacists, what can you do to try to get the medicine you need? Bottom line, be proactive. If you need a prescription immediately, make that clear. Order refills earlier than usual, and some pharmacies are cutting staff and hours more than others, so it may be time to look for a different pharmacy before this happens to you. For Contact Denver 7, I'm JACLYN Allen.
JACLYN, thank you. And looking deeper tonight, Colorado's pharmacy worker shortage isn't unique. A recent survey from the National Community Pharmacists Association found 70% of independent pharmacies are struggling with staffing and supply chain issues. Also, many pharmacy workers are burnt out from working during the pandemic. 75% of those surveyed answered negatively to questions about receiving enough time and support to safely perform their job. As a result, many pharmacies are increasing wages and offering employees incentive pay to stay fully staffed.
The Colorado Symphony, Opera Colorado, Colorado Ballet, and the Denver Center for the Performing Arts will all lift vaccine and mask requirements at the end of the month. We have a full list of when the requirements are dropping at each venue right now on thedenverchannel.com. A journalist working for Fox News was injured while reporting near Ukraine's capital city of Kyiv. This comes just days after an American journalist, Brent Renault, was killed on assignment for Time Studios. Ukraine's President Zelensky tweeted out his condolences to Renault's family, saying he was killed while documenting the ruthlessness and evil inflicted upon Ukraine by Russia. The U.S. is now holding high-level talks with China after reports that Russia had asked China for military support. Now, China is denying those reports. And the UN now says more than 2.8 million refugees have fled Ukraine since the war began.
Oil prices in the U.S. are now below $100 for the first time since March 1st. The cost of a barrel fell more than 8% today, down to $99.76. But the price for a gallon of gas in the U.S. is still hovering around $4.33. In Colorado, we've avoided hitting $4 a gallon. Right now, our average is $3.97.
All right, we're about 8 months away now from the midterm elections, and Colorado lawmakers are taking steps to make sure the state's elections are protected.
Today, Colorado Democrats unveiled a bill that will put more election security measures in place. Denver 7 politics reporter MEGHAN LOPEZ was there, and MEGHAN, they're hoping to get this in place before the November election.
Yeah, Jessica, that's right. As you mentioned, this bill was unveiled today, and it has a safety clause on it. So what that means is if it successfully makes its way through the legislative process, and if it's signed by the governor, it would go into effect right away. Now, this bill, from what everyone was telling me today, is in direct response to what happened in Mesa County with Clerk Tina Peters.
Questions from the committee? On the same day, Colorado lawmakers debate a bill that would do away with all mail-in voting in the state.
Today, we are announcing the introduction of a critical bill.
Democrats unveil their own to add more protections around the state's election system. A bill
The floodgates of election disinformation have opened.
Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold says stems directly from Mesa County, where Clerk Tina Peters was recently indicted by a grand jury for alleged election tampering. Peters and one other are accused of helping an unauthorized man gain access to Mesa County's voting system. Video of that system and passwords were then posted online.
I don't think we were thinking about insider threats before Mesa. We have lots of safeguards, but the idea that someone elected to uphold elections would try to destroy from within was shocking.
Senate Bill 153, otherwise known as the Colorado Election Security Act, does a few main things. First, it increases security measures by requiring key card access to voting equipment rooms and year-round surveillance.
It prohibits unauthorized imaging of voting equipment. It creates a felony for tampering with voting equipment.
It also requires more training and certifications for election officials. The bill also tightens rules around election administrators themselves.
If you are convicted of an election offense, if you are convicted of actually attacking or doing something wrong that we have deemed illegal in our statutes, you cannot then be in charge of running our elections.
They're also barred from spreading misinformation about elections.
I don't think it's too much to ask to say if you're running our elections, you can't lie about our elections.
The County Clerks Association supports the idea, saying it would be the biggest piece of election legislation since 2013 when mail-in voting was legalized. If the bill makes it through a legislative process, it would be the first of its kind in the country.
We must be bold and lead with this first-in-the-nation legislation to combat insider threats.
So for its part, Colorado Senate Republicans sent us a statement saying, quote, our senators will be tracking 153 as it progresses, and we sincerely hope the opportunity for bipartisan collaboration presents itself when the bill is considered. That bill was officially introduced in the Senate on Friday. It faces its first committee test in a particularly difficult committee tomorrow. I'm live in front of the Colorado State Capitol. MEGHAN LOPEZ, Denver 7.
MEGHAN, thank you. And the Colorado House passed the Reproductive Health Equity Act today. This weekend's second vote on the bill passed after 23 hours of debate. Today's third vote went much quicker and passed by a vote of 40-24. That bill will now move on to the Senate, and you can read more about the bill right now on thedenverchannel.com.
Do you know what this is? A bike? This is a pedal.
A proper reintroduction to Colorado.
After their moving trailer was stolen, a family now has most of their things back, plus a little extra thanks to Denver 7 Gives donations.
We feel more than welcome. We are just so overwhelmed and blown away.
And free beer is back. The Coors Brewery in Golden is bringing back tours.
And Broncos country says goodbye to Teddy.